I first became familiar with Team Reptile through Lethal League, a fantastically fun game that had a simple premise that was elevated with excellent audio-visual design. I was later surprised to find out they had released Lethal League Blaze, an expanded version of the original that allowed Team Reptile to push their 3D design skills further. Then Rush Cyberfunk was announced, and it was a case of realizing that all the clues were there from the beginning. The infectious music, great vibes, and refinement of the 3D cartoon art style over the years, it made perfect sense that they could make a spiritual successor to the Jet Set series. Even though I haven't played any Jet Set games, I am very familiar with the aesthetic and music, so I was excited to see Team Reptile's take on it. In Rush Cyberfunk, which I will refer to as BRC for the remainder of the video, you play as a young man named Foe who escapes jail with the help from Trice, leader of the Bomb Rush crew. As a thanks for helping him escape, Foe agrees to help Trice and the Bomb Rush crew go all city, a coveted title identifying the top crew in all of New Amsterdam. During the escape, Foe is decapitated by a masked man. In order to keep Foe's body alive, Trice attaches a cyberhead, but without the original brain, you have no memory of your past and are temporarily dubbed Red. Trice explains that the man who decapitated Foe, DJ Cyber, is known to have a fascination with the human mind, and he's willing to bet he still has Foe's previous head. DJ Cyber's crew is currently top dog in New Amsterdam, so the Bomb Rush crew sets out to go all city, defeat DJ Cyber, and get Foe's head back. The core gameplay in BRC is focused on the traversal and exploration of areas, typically on bike, inline skates, or skateboard. Scattered throughout areas are rails, billboards, and ramps that you can use to do tricks and combos while exploring. Hidden around each area are collectible items such as new graffiti styles, outfits for characters, and colors for bikes, boards, and skates. These items can be behind secret pathways or in places that are easily visible but require a specific route to reach. There is a count of the total number of items in an area in the pause menu, but they are otherwise up to the player to locate. Each area also has a number of graffiti spots you need to fill to increase your rep and challenge the area's rival crew. These challenges include getting a higher score, copying specific combo chains, or racing rival crew members, and completing these challenges reward the player with a new graffiti design to use. After you have enough rep and have completed the preliminary challenges, you challenge the rival crew to a crew battle where both crews compete to get the highest score in 2 minutes. Score is determined by a number of factors, such as having trick variety and the multiplier for the current combo. The most consistent methods of increasing the combo multiplier are leaning into rail corners while grinding and while riding billboards. Quarter pipes can also increase the multiplier, but I couldn't figure out the conditions for it because some would not increase the multiplier and some would increase it multiple times. While exploring, each rail corner or billboard will only increase the multiplier once for a specific combo, but during a crew battle or score challenge, they'll only contribute a multiplier once for the entire challenge duration. This isn't how I expected the combo system to work, but I do think it's an interesting approach that places more focus on your knowledge and methods of traversing an area than the number of tricks you perform. It also requires you to be aware of corners on rails when grinding, because you can't lean into corners to increase your multiplier if you're in the middle of performing a trick. Having this focus on route creation still makes the combo system engaging in my opinion, just in a way that's different from memorizing inputs for tricks. You can also increase your score by hitting graffiti spots during your combo, but doing so increases your heat level and the subsequent police threat in the area. As your heat level increases, more and more police officers will enter the area and attempt to apprehend you, starting with officers on foot and escalating into a more militarized force later in the game. The increased police presence isn't always threatening, but it can be a hindrance on your ability to continue combos or exploring the area. To reduce your heat level to 0, you must visit a public toilet where you can switch your outfit, which I thought was a very smart method of encouraging the player to see the other outfits for your characters. You don't have to actually change your outfit, just visiting the toilet will reduce your heat, but it's an interesting method of informing the player where they can see what the new outfits look like without dedicating time to do so. This is actually just one example of a trend that stuck out to me, where BRC is able to introduce new things to the player by stacking mechanics with other actions to subtly encourage the player to interact with the rest of the game. For example, learning the best routes for getting high combos gets the player familiar with an area, simultaneously preparing them for the crew battle, but also encouraging them to revisit locations and increase the chances of spotting hidden paths for a collectible. There are also secret characters that can be recruited to the crew, and these characters occasionally require you to go into closed-off areas that can only be opened by further increasing your rep, encouraging you to hit more graffiti spots, and potentially motivating you to hit all of the spots in an area. There's an abundance of intentional design in BRC that encourages you to just play the game and have fun, all the while being elevated by the whimsical vibe of the game and the excellent soundtrack that captures the spirit of the game's narrative and presentation. One criticism I had is that early in the game it can be difficult to know you have a specific objective. After winning the second crew battle, I spent about 10 minutes trying to lower my heat, but couldn't find any public toilets and I couldn't leave the area. I eventually realized that the game wanted me to interact with the new police officer type being introduced, but I'd been ignoring them because there was a single officer and they weren't incredibly threatening. In hindsight, I realized that the music had changed and was looping the same song as a clue that I was in a more scripted section, and I simply kept an ear out for that so I avoided similar situations later in the game. There's very little to criticize in my opinion, and Bomb Rush Cyberfunk is an excellent culmination of Team Reptile's catalog up to this point. While I haven't played the games that inspired it, BRC is a game that's as visually stylish as it is fun to play, with an infectious soundtrack of absolute bangers. It's a game that obviously had a tremendous amount of care put into development, and I think it's worth every penny. Thanks for watching, take care, and remember, keep having fun.